Hello viewers, in this lecture we will discuss about pre-qualifications of bidder and we can say contractor. So before the process of the tendering, if client and owner wants to filter the bidders from the market, we can say if client and owner are getting number of applications, we can say number of tenders from the market, so in that case that will be tedious work to filter and to analyze all the tenders and details and all documents getting from the contractor side. So that will be tedious work for the client or owner. So in that case, if the contractor and owner wants to limited number of the applications, we can say tender from the selected contractor which are eligible to do that work or who are willingly to do that work and having the financially and technical capacity. So in that case, this is the one of the step the client and owner can implement before the processing of the tender. So this is the pre-qualification of bidder. We can say pre-qualification of contractor. So owner and client are asking about some brief information about the contractors, about the financial capacity, about the facility having, about the resources like material and the technical deployed in their firm. So the client and owner asking to some information from the contractor side, and contractor has to give the information by this specified form, and then the client and owner are analyzing all the details coming from the contractor side, and then owner or client is analyze all the details coming from the contractor side. Then, after the analyzing and scrutinization of the details of the contractor or builders, then owner and the representative owner is selecting the contractor for that work. So that contractors can be part of the bidding process for the particular type of the work, for the particular type of the project. So this is the additional step owner and client, which is known as the pre-qualifications of contractor, or we can say pre-qualifications of bidder. So you might have question arise that why this procedure is applied by the owner and the client side, because with this process the client and owner will get the limited number of the contractors which is qualified and having the facilities and having the resources like men and the material and having the financial capacity to do that work. So this step, so by this procedure, contractor and the client will get the qualified contractor from the market. Now let us discuss about in detail about the pre-qualifications of contractor. It is the process or method developed by the client. Client may be private firm, may be government body. So client may be develop the any process to select the contractor who can participate in the tender process, who can be participate in the bidding process of the particular type of the tender before the tendering process. And in this process, the client and government asking about the brief information from the contractor side. And in this process, client is asking to the contractor about the brief informations of the contractor's firm's details, past experience about that work, and financial capacity and past record which had been done by the contractor. So all the details and financial details can be asked by the client side, and contractor has to give the information about his firm. In the pre-qualifications of the contractor, instead of the inviting tenders publicly, So in this process, the we are not directly inviting the tender by the publicly, but the contractors can be invited apply the selection and registration of the qualified tenderers. So this is the additional step applied by the client or the owner. So in that case, the contractor has to register with the based on the facilities and based on the capacity and based on the past record. So the client and owner are registering the contractor, qualified contractor to do that work. And for this purpose, the client or we can say owner, this may be by the government bodies, by the private bodies. So in advertisement is displayed in the different media. For example, in the newspaper, and the interesting bidders, and after that the interesting contractor or we can say bidders supplied with the pre-qualified document generally in prescribed form of the specific format finalized by the client, because this format may change depending upon the client and owner. That may be different for the government bodies, that may be different for the private sector. So the specified form asked by the client, contractor has to follow that format. Next is, if we talk about the pre-qualifications, which are the pre-qualifications should have to do that work from the contractor side. So in that, the first one is past experience, because with the good past experience, the client and owner can understand that the contractor will do that work excellently. If the past experience is bad from the contractor side, so contractor will not do the work based on the terms and conditions. If the past experience is the bad, so in that case they may be affect the quality of the work. So client and owner will select the contractor. This is the one of the qualifications which is past experience. Second one is major works in hand. Generally contractor are participate in the different work, in the different bidding process, and sometimes the contractor having this number of the work which they are doing. So the client or owner will ask about the how many work is going on by that firm. So if so many contracts are going on for the particular firm, so client may judge that the contractor will not do this particular work, because the contractor is already engaged in the different works which are going on by their firm. So, if the contractor has the facilities of the manpower and the machinery and other resources and the capacity of the financial conditions, and he can do the further work, so client or owner can judge that he will do or not. If the having of the capacity, so client or owner can select that contractor for this bidding process. So the major works in hand will be considered for the pre-qualifications of the contract. Next point is technical personnel engaged. As we know, in the government bodies, in the government approved contract, there are the many class: AA class, A class, B class, C class, D class, and E class. And each class have to follow certain rules and regulations from the government side. For example, if any particular class of the contractor, if we are taking the A class of contractor, A class contractors firms require the 5 number of the BE civil and the 5 number of the diploma in civil engineers for that construction firm. And if the contractors firms is not capable for the technical person, in that case owner and client may select or not depending upon the personal engagement of the technical. So this is the one of the important point for considering of the pre-qualifications of the contractor. Next one is financial capacity. This is the one of the important point, because if the contractor's capacity for the 2 crores rupees for the construction of the work, and he is already doing the contract for the 1 crore and 50 lakhs rupees in currently, and if this tender process is another 1 crore rupees, so owner and client may judge that this contractor will not do that work because contractor has facilities up to the 2 crore rupees. So the financial capacity, this will be considered for the pre-qualifications of the contractor. If the contractor having the financial capacity to do this work, so in that case the client or owner will select for the bidding process. And the next one is equipments owned. As we know, in our construction field, we are using the different types of the equipment. For example, contractor is doing the high rise building, so in that case the crane is required for that work. So the equipment is essential for the any contractor. For example, if you talk about the small equipments like vibrator, formwork of the concrete mass, or any cutting tools for the cutting of the reinforcement. So there are the many equipments we are using in our construction field. So the client and owner will observe that how many equipments having from the contractor side, so the contractor can do that work within the time duration. So this is the one of the important point we can consider for the pre-qualifications of contractor. And last one is any other relevant information. So one certificate from the contractor side, and the about the firm information, and the certificates from the past work he had clearly done. So these are the pre-qualifications points should be considered for the contractor. And in pre-qualification of contractor, there is black tender forms are issued only to those contractor who in judgment of the employer are adequate in asked information. So judgment of the selecting for the particular contractor will depend upon on the client or owner. If client or owner is selecting the particular type of the contractor, so that will be participate in the bidding process. And if the owner and client doesn't select that contractor, so that contractor will not participate for the bidding process. And in such case the above information may be asked to submit it in the separate cover. If the construction project is large and the amount of the work is large, so in that case in that particular area no one contractor can do that particular work alone. So in that case there may be allow 2 or 3 construction firm to do that work. For example, tender is amount of greater than 500 crore rupees. So in that case, there may be chances no one contractor can do that work alone. So in that case, there may be allowed 2 or 3 contractor, or we can say 2 or 3 construction firm to do that work. So we already discussed about few important points for the pre-qualifications of the contractor. Now let us discuss about main criteria we have to consider for the pre-qualifications of contractor. First one is financial strength. This is the important criteria for the qualified for the participate in the bidding process. Contractor has to give insurance to the client that he is capable to do that work and having the financial capacity to do that work. And the second criteria is past 5 years experience, because contractors has to give the records about past 5 years record to the client, because this is shows that the how contractor follow the terms and conditions for the past work or we can say he had followed, done work with the quality. So the all the information client will be get from the past 5 years experience of the contractor. So this is the one of the criteria for the pre-qualifications of the contractor. And if contractor is disqualified from the any one bodies. For example, contractor is disqualified from the Jamnagar Municipal Corporation or Ahmedabad Municipal Corporation, and this bidding process is particular for the Vadodara Municipal Corporations. So if the contractor disqualified from the any one agencies, so he cannot to be part of this bidding process. So the past 5 years experience, client may judge contractor will be participate to this bidding process or not. And the next pre-qualifications is technical personnel engaged. As we know, as per the government rule, we have a different class of the contractors working in the particular government body. So, in the government body, they are classified depending upon the experience and having the resources and the facilities, and the work had been done by the contractor firm like AA class contractor, A class contractor, B class contractor, C class contractor, D class contractor, or E class contractor. So each class of the contractor should follow the rules and regulations for the technical persons. So each class of the contractor required the particular technical person. So the technical person engaged information should be given by the contractor to the client. So client or owner can judge that the contractor will be participate for the bidding process or not. Next one is construction plant and equipments. As we know, we are using the different types of the equipment like the vibrator, like mixture of the concrete or any other cutting tools for the reinforcement or any other equipments we are using. For example, the contractors having generally the scaffolding and form works for the construction work. So client and owner analyze the all the equipments having by the contractor. So with that information, client or owner may judge that he is capable to do that work or not. So this is the one of the important point for the qualified contractor. And last one is other considerations such as the quality control standards, ISO certifications. So this all about the criteria for the pre-qualifications will help to filter out of the contractors who wants to be participate in bidding process. But you might have a question arise that how we can evaluate this criteria, how client or owner can evaluate this criteria for the pre-qualifications of the contractor. Here you can see point number 1 to point number 4. Financial strength, past 5 years experience, technical personnel engaged, and construction plant and equipments. These 4 points reserved for the 90 percentage. And the last one is the other consideration such as the quality control and the standard ISO certificates, which reserve the 10 percentage. And among the 90 percentage, contractors has to get approximately 60 percentage out of the 90 percentage. It means contractor has to reach 70 percentage of the total. So these are the criteria for the pre-qualifications of the contractor. So dear students, you may clear about the pre-qualifications of the contractor from this session. So in next lecture, we will discuss about submission of tender, opening of tender, and evaluation of tender. Thank you.